In today's video, I'm going to show you 3 AI tricks you can start using right now. The first trick is a hidden technique from Asia that uses a blue pill and red pill system to get different perspectives from AI, helping you strengthen your work. The second tip or prompt is for people who need to complete really long projects and want to find the fastest way to do it. And finally, I'm going to fix a really common problem where recently, especially with ChatGPT's LLM, a lot of people have been getting condescending messages or being treated like children, and I'm going to try to fix that annoying issue for both ChatGPT and other platforms. All right then, let's start with the first tip, the CIA trick. Obviously, I have no idea what the CIA does, but I wanted to give you some context about what this prompt is for. All right, first things first, I'm going to show you the prompt so we can look at it. And here's the prompt, okay? Basically, you just print screen or take a screenshot, send it to your AI and tell it to convert it to text, and that's it. That way you don't need to put it in the description or anything like that. So basically, what does it do? It acts like a CIA agent using a good cop, bad cop strategy to extract the real information and reach a conclusion. This prompt is divided into 3 phases. The first one is the blue team, where they'll give us the most positive and well-developed aspects of whatever we asked ChatGPT's opinion on. For example, we're creating a sales page, we're drafting an email in a specific context for an important client, and we want to know if that email is well written and all that. Well, the blue section will tell us the positive parts. Then on the other hand, we have the red team. The red team is going to be criticizing everything we've done, no matter what. I want you to understand that this prompt forces the AI to give both the positive and the negative points. What does that mean? Well, you might present work that's terrible and it'll still give you positive points, and you might give it work that's perfect and it'll still criticize things, and that's what it's designed to do. So that's where each person's opinion and judgment comes in to really identify the actual errors. And finally, it does a critical failure analysis where it tells you the worst mistake you made. Of all the mistakes you might think you've made, this is the worst, and you need to fix it now. Once again, the AI is forced to give you this error. I say this because this prompt works great the first time, the second time. But once you've improved your message and send it again, you'll find it keeps criticizing you, but you really don't care about that criticism anymore, right? They're just minor points now. So how would I use this? But really, how do I use it? Basically, I have it set up directly as a gem that I use within Google Gemini. You could adapt it to a GPT or whatever language model you're using. And basically what I do is, for example, ask for feedback on work I'm doing. For example, let's say, okay, let me give you an example. Look, I'm going to use my email capture page that you'll find in the description, okay? So here, well, you can take a look at it. Now, I'm not going to paste the entire page spam, but for example, we could grab this page or send screenshots. I won't overcomplicate it. I told it, this is a landing page where you capture people's leads. And I said, for people interested in optimizing their time with AI, consider whether the pain points are well reflected, if the messaging is good, and so on. So I'm going to send it, and here it might be interesting to adapt the prompt so it asks us for context first before starting. For example, if we're going to send it an email, we should give it the email's context, otherwise it'll just criticize for the sake of criticizing. So a good approach would be to ask them to ask us questions first, or a good practice rather, and then start our work. Well, there it is. I haven't been able to get rid of this presentation thing. Well, let's see, it would be as simple as telling them not to introduce themselves, but hey, what do I know? And it says analysis decision. Blue team says, well, the pain points would be people who are burned out from repetitive tasks or who feel like they're wasting time. Perfect, it says. You have a strong positioning against others in the sector. Well, there are different positive things, right? And then let's move to the negative parts, which is probably what interests you, right? Although it's always good to know what we did well so we don't change it. Okay, negative parts they're telling me. For example, you're targeting people with 0 free time and asking them to read very long text on the page. Modern users scan nowadays, they don't read. Well, that could be valid criticism. Obviously, everyone has marketing reasons behind their landing page, but it could be good feedback. Obviously, Now, let me grab my landing page. I mean, this would be my landing, right? This initial part where I simply give you access to a private audio, the lead magnet as it's called, and let you register. That's it. And then below, if you want, you can read more context about me. That's it, nothing more. So yeah, it's a criticism that can totally be made, fair enough. I could remove that text or I can leave it. If you have the time and want to read it, why not? Or if I still haven't convinced you because you don't really know who I am and you'd rather read that to understand a bit more about why I made this landing and all that, well, I'll leave it there. But that's just my opinion. But you see how they really went deep there. I mean, the approach is actually very smart. Hey, you're targeting this type of audience, and this type of audience isn't here for this. It's a smart thought, right? Here I'll criticize again that I promised to send a daily email, which is true. And here it says, warning them before they've experienced your value that they'll receive a daily email can cause them to abandon immediately. Generally, in this case, for example, since the value is usually in these videos and people go to the landing page from these videos, in this case, I'm pretty well covered, right? That's why context is so important. There, I failed to mention that the value comes before the video and all that, right? Here it says total absence of social proof. There's no visual authority, meaning there's no image of me or anything. Again, you see me through the camera, and it says the design is extremely utilitarian, which is also what I was going for, okay? I was looking for a design that was practically like a letter. Look, if I'm doing work on artificial intelligence, people will probably think I do everything automatically, and I don't want to give that impression. I want people who subscribe to the email list to not feel like a product. Obviously, I'm going to try to sell to them, of course I will, but there's a difference between using an automated system where I'm just treating the customer or potential customer like a robot, like just another number, versus trying to show a bit more awareness that there's a real person behind this with actual problems and needs, you know? Everyone has their own strategies. I'm not saying one is better or worse, but that's why I'm telling you it's really important that, look, you have to realize this landing page is kind of unfair. I came here, I presented it, I had already reviewed this 3 or 4 times, and of course I didn't find any errors. Yes, obviously, but before I did find errors and I corrected them, okay? But I wanted to show you this example so you understand that you don't have to change everything it criticizes, and that's the problem many people have. Every time ChatGPT tells them something, boom, they do it. No, it doesn't work like that. If, for example, ChatGPT tells everyone, I'm going to give a silly example. ChatGPT tells everyone that blue is the best color and everyone starts using blue for marketing. What's going to happen? Well, since everyone uses blue as their brand color, no one's going to stand out, and the guy who uses red is going to nail it. That's it. This is reality. The one who stands out is the one who acts different. Obviously, ChatGPT will give you pretty generic advice, and then you decide whether to follow it or not, okay? And, well, this is the gem, right? I really recommend you try it, especially on topics you know well. If you use it on topics you don't know as well, it can lead you down rabbit holes and drag you off track. But for example, if you're writing an email, everyone knows how to write an email, right? But it might tell you, hey, this tone, this phrase right here seems a bit too aggressive. You could change it and so on. The truth is, it's a prompt I love that I use all the time, and I didn't just bring it here randomly, you know? I mean, seriously. So anyway, let me know what you think, okay?